my latest iOS tutorial titled Maze Games with Swift and SpriteKit. And as you might imagine, we'll be building an entire maze game from scratch, so I'm not going to skip anything. You get to watch in real time as this entire app is built up, and that involves creating a hero class, enemies, boundaries, sprites, parallax backgrounds, sounds, everything you can imagine to build an entire game. In terms of the technology that we'll be using, we'll use Apple's very own game engine called SpriteKit and Apple's brand new programming language called Swift. And then for level design, I'll give you two choices. We'll get to work with either tiled or lay out our scenes within the new SpriteKit Scene Editor, which is within Xcode itself. There are some advantages to working with tiled. It's been around a lot longer. There's some nicer features in terms of building bigger levels, which is as simple as just being able to copy and paste things with a little bit more ease. But if you don't want to step outside of Xcode at all, you can lay out your levels within that Scene Kit editor. The game that we created is going to be completely physics-based, and what you're seeing right here are the bounding boxes that represent some of the physics shapes in the game itself. So we'll do things like create sensors to detect if a part of the ship is colliding against a certain wall, and we'll look at the differences between contacts and actual collisions in a physics-based world. And the cool thing about SpriteKit is that setting up the physics is incredibly easy, and you do not need any sort of master's degree in physics to figure any of this out. Let's discuss a few highlights of the course. It is entirely Swift and SpriteKit based. We'll be importing in tiled files, which are really just XML files. So you get the best of both worlds. You'll learn how to use tiled, but also parse any XML data in the future. We'll look at playing audio through either an SKAction or the AVAudioPlayer. We'll add swipe gesture recognizers to the scene to move the character around. We'll pull children out of the SpriteKit scene file and replace them with our own custom classes. And that's an important note because, as it is right now in the SpriteKit Scene Editor, you can't use your own classes, things like hero, enemy. So you essentially just lay out dummy objects and then take a look at those and replace them with your own custom classes. We'll also set up an SKPhysicsContactDelegate and listen for bodies contacting each other, colliding against each other, and we'll center the entire SpriteKit world around a specific node, which is going to be our hero. And not only will you learn all those topics in real time, you also get all the example code in projects broken up by section, and of course that final master copy of the game which has everything in it and all those snippets of code that you can use for future reference. And really briefly, let's take a quick look at the Xcode project. By the end of this, everything is going to be mostly set up by a GameData.PropertyList file. So you'll have your hero settings inside of here, you'll have your game settings inside of here, and then settings for each level broken up into an array. So you can unfold this and see that you've specified the TMX file if you're going to use that, or you're going to specify the next SpriteKit scene file to advance to if you happen to pass the level, the speed of the character, the enemy speed, even a logic factor to see how kind of dumb or smart the enemies are, a background file, and again that is a parallax background, and then a music file. So let's publish the game, and I'll send it over here to my iPhone Plus and we'll take a look at it running. If I don't act fast, they will get me. That's what I've learned in demoing this final project over time. And one neat thing about this is if you do swipe down like right there, it will save your next desired direction, so you don't have to ever worry about running into a wall that it's just not possible for the character to run into at that point. Similar to what you might expect from a maze game like this. Okay, so that is the final project. And even the final project isn't set in stone, because in a bonus extra section, we're going to just take student suggestions, maybe even some of my own suggestions on ways to expand this project even further and just see what we can kind of come up with. So I hope you purchase the course and get started today. It's a fun one.